This video is brought to you by Loot Crate. Get the best geek and gamer gear sent to you each month by using lootcrate.com/loottunes. How's it going, guys? It is Chad here from Loottunes, and we are back with another very exciting drawing video. It's great to be back, and it's great to be revisiting our 10 Years Later series, or our future drawing series, whatever you want to call it. And I am very excited to revisit this series with properties outside of Gravity Falls. And where better to start than with the Recess Gang? I mean, you can't help but wonder, when those kids grew up, where did they kind of find themselves? So that's what we're going to be doing in this drawing video. Now, for those of you new to the format, I'm going to be doing sort of speed draws of each character and where I think they'll end up in, say, 10 or 15 years, and doing some commentary over the top to let you know why I think they landed there, and just kind of how they might be doing. Of course, this is all just speculation and where I think they might end up. You guys will have to let me know at the end of the video where you think that the Recess Gang will have ended up. As always, I will be using a copy of Flash CS5 and my trusty Wacom Intuos drawing tablet to do all the drawings that you'll see in this video. I'm also going to be using some reference images just to get the proportions and the style looking correct. And lastly, I'll be using this drawing mitten. I get a lot of questions about this thing. People saying, where did you get that amazing drawing glove, or where can I get a nice drawing glove? This is not a very nice drawing glove. It's literally a $2 mitten from Target. I just cut the fingers off and leave the pinky a little bit longer so that it's easier to glide around the tablet. And that's all there is to it. $2, free drawing glove. So I'm excited to start sketching and breaking down where I think these characters might land in 10 or so years. So let's get in and do some drawing. So let's get started with TJ, of course, the leader of the group, the kind-hearted mischief maker, yeah, like the leader of the gang. So there's a lot of episodes in Recess, if you remember, where TJ struggles a lot with change, and he struggles with growing up. So I definitely think that in 10, 15 years, because this is kind of 10, 15 years ballpark-ish, maybe not 10 years exactly, because I think the kids are like 10 years old in the show. But anyways, I think TJ will still kind of really struggle with that. Even as he grows older, just kind of not wanting to move on and kind of clinging to his childhood in a way, because TJ, to me, in my mind, is like the quintessential childhood character. Like, he's the representation of childhood. TJ maybe didn't, not like he's some loser or something. I mean, TJ is always going to be cool. That's a given, but just maybe he didn't branch out quite as much as the others. So I find TJ kind of like almost like a Van Wilder character, if you guys know that movie. I think he'll be kind of in college somewhere, maybe on a second major or something, just sort of hanging around a little longer than you might expect someone to be at college for. But he's still that cool guy. He's always getting into mischief. His schemes and plans are probably, a little bit more adult at this point in college. You can imagine it. Who knows what kind of trouble he could get into. But he's still that charming kid at heart, I think, looking very similar to what you'd remember. He doesn't have the hat on, but he's got it there, so I'm sure he pops that thing on every now and again. And yeah, that's TJ, the leader of the Recess Gang. Let's move on. Next, we have Gus, and I was torn with what to do with Gus, but eventually I settled, because at first I'm thinking, maybe he just rejects his family military ties with his dad. But then I was thinking, I really think it's more interesting, actually, if he does go in that military direction, because Gus, being the new kid at the school, that's like the first episode, I think is his transfer day. He's kind of like the main character in a way. I've always viewed it. I think he's able to take all of the traits that he's learned from his friends and transition out of being, that nerdy, unsure of himself kid into being a commendable soldier. So Gus and Gretchen I have changed the most physically. So as you can see, Gus he's put on some muscle. He's grown into his body a little bit. And I like the idea that Gus kind of hits a growth spurt at some point, leaves that awkward phase, and he joins the army in the footsteps of his father. But he's still that lovable kid that you always knew. So next is Spinelli, and I didn't quite know what to do with her because it's easy to carry on characters from what you know. I mean, Gus obviously goes to the military. That's an easy parallel to make. But with Spinelli, you don't make that parallel and say, oh, well, she's going to be a professional wrestler. So where I put Spinelli is either training for law enforcement or training to be a lawyer, because I think she needs to kick ass somewhere and stand up for the little guy somewhere. I think it'd be pretty cool if she was a lawyer. So I think she finds herself in law school or something like that, still kicking ass. And I did give her some glasses because I think it would be a very Spinelli thing. In the series, her main theme seems to be like perception. She doesn't want to be perceived as like a wuss or too girly or anything like that. So I could totally see her needing glasses and just never wearing them. There might actually be an episode about that. I can't remember. But so yeah, that's where I think we find Spinelli, still kicking ass, still taking names, not taking any guff from anybody, and ready to, fight for the little guys just like she always has. And she's still rocking the beanie. I for a second I wanted to leave it off, but I had to keep her rocking the beanie. So yeah, that's Spinelli. Okay, next we get to Mikey, who's probably my least favorite Recess character, but I've actually seen people a few times do a Recess all grown up type thing, and I don't really agree with a lot of the ways that people have seen the characters, which is completely fine, because that's the reason that these things are fun, is because you can sort of derive your own perceptions. And with Mikey, I've seen a lot of people kind of having him become some kind of a hippie or like a beach bum kind of guy, but I envision something much different from Mikey. Especially towards the end of the series or like the later episodes in the movies, he starts to like get into singing and performing a lot. They really hype up like the poetry and the artsiness of Mikey. So I imagine Mikey out in New York trying to be a singer, an opera performer, some form of thespian where he can tap into his artsy roots, and where better than New York. I wanted to clean up his look a little bit. He didn't lose all the weight, but he trimmed down a little bit, combed his hair a little bit, all that good stuff. So, yeah, let's all wish the best of luck to Mikey with his singing and theater career. Okay, on to my very favorite Recess character, Vince. I've always loved Vince because it's very easy to make the token black guy just great at sports, which is a part of Vince's character, but he ends up being like the coolest character. Like, he's revered over the playground, and he's just like this super charismatic and beloved kid. Like, there's an episode I remember where everybody on the playground is like revering Vince, like he's some kind of like a god on the playground, and he really is, because he's a charming, funny guy, and he's great to have in the gang, because if you take Vince away from the group, they start to look pretty shabby. But Vince is an undeniable athletic prodigy. So I had to send Vince to the NBA, and especially where the NBA is now, a charismatic guy like Vince would just thrive there. So I sent him to my favorite team, the LA Clippers, of course, and I think he'll be that next it guy, that next it athlete, because that's always been Vince's thing, and adding his lovable nature to that will, I can't see it going wrong. Number 1 draft pick, baby. Okay, and last but not least is probably my favorite of the bunch in terms of how the drawings turned out, is Gretchen. So when I thought about working on Gretchen, I didn't quite know what exactly to do with her in terms of her physical appearance. I absolutely knew she's like in college or something getting a PhD. She's all about research. She always has been, so she's going to be a researcher. I think that goes without saying. Some sort of scientific researcher. I think that goes without saying. So she's on that path, but I think the physical portrayal is what I was really interested in with Gretchen, because, like I said, her and Gus are sort of in their awkward years. Gretchen, most of all, her proportions are all over the place, and so I wanted to change Gretchen's look, but not too far. So I kind of took down some of the height and slenderness, maybe some of the wacky knobbiness, I guess you could say. But I wanted to keep her looking as Gretchen-y as possible while doing that. And I think it ended up working really well. She's actually kind of cute now. That feel when Gretchen's kind of cute. So I imagine her, as you can see, as a Gravity Falls fan, she's got her journal there, but she's also into, of course, the very intense sciences. And I think she's probably going to make some big splashes in the world someday. But at this point, I suppose she's still pretty young. But at least lucky for Gretchen, she's grown into her body at least a little bit. And hey, she found some glasses that aren't 50 sizes too big. So Gretchen is well on her way. And I'm really happy with how this one turned out. So yeah, that's the whole gang. Here they are all together. I think it looks pretty cool to see them all standing next to each other, especially when you can get the size discrepancies, because Mikey used to be able to like hold Gus in his arms, and things have changed. So here's the whole game. Okay, I think that's about it. I think those turned out pretty cool. You guys will have to let me know what you thought of the drawings and where you think the Recess characters might be 10 or so years down the road. And if you didn't think the video whomped too hard, please go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the video out and helps more people to see it across the internet. So I'd really appreciate that. And well, that's about it for me. But before we go, I'd like to thank this video's incredible sponsor, Loot Crate. So if you don't know what Loot Crate is, it's a monthly delivery service that delivers an awesome crate of geek and gamer gear straight to your doorstep. This month's theme was dystopia, so it had some awesome stuff, including a Matrix puzzle and this cool little Fallout guy, and a bunch more. And these boxes are packed to the teeth with over $40 worth of stuff, but delivered to you for less than $20 a month. You can still get the crate you see me opening here until the 19th, and then the theme changes up. And next month's theme is futuristic, and it has some Rick and Morty stuff in tow, which I am very excited for, and I'm sure you guys will be too. So if you want to join, head to lootcrate.com/LootTunes and use the code LootTunes to save 10%. Again, all the information you need is down in the description, lootcrate.com/LootTunes. And I'll see you guys next time.